Well, I just can't believe it how far we made it all the way to this channel. Reach episode 1800. It's fitting because I did not think exactly what I was going to be reviewing for this episode. Well, we get to review, of course, CML's Fantastica Mania Mexico, not only featuring talent from CML, but also talent from AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I believe there is one talent from RevPro. So that's going to be an awesome thing to review. So we're going to go through every match from A to Z. And then finally, we have the latest Stardom show, the conversion at Yoyogi, featuring many matches, including, of course, title matches. We have the Future Belt, the Goddesses of Stardom, and of course, we have the IWGP Women's Championship. So a lot of things is going to happen throughout this entire event, and I can't wait to get through it all from A to Z on this one as well. And then, as always, we'll cap up our episode as usual with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, when matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. Anywhere in the world pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on a like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough with the yapping. So beam me up, Scotty. So let's begin, of course, with our first review, and this one is Fantastica Mania Mexico. Okay, Fantastica Mania Mexico. Now, for those who are not familiarized about this event that CML does normally when they travel to Japan and bring in the culture of Mexico and Lucha Libre to their house. And that's always been one of those funnest events ever. We see wrestlers who interact with wrestlers from Japan and all that. However, this year they decided to do a Mexico show, and not only they interact with wrestlers from New Japan, they also interact with AEW talent, and of course there's one particular wrestler who's from RevPro, and I'll get to that in a bit. But it's a fun show, not to mention, but it's great to see that. So let's start from the very beginning. This event recently took place back on June 20th in Arena, Mexico. So let's begin with the first match. Our first match, this one is a non-title match, in case anybody asks. We have Red Velvet, who is our current ROH Women's World Champion. The Women's World Television Champion, just, to correct myself. And then we have Kira. I don't know much about her, but the match was pretty good, not going to lie. But there was a moment, of course, where Kira was trying to do something, but instead, Red Velvet kind of whacked her by the knee with just, brute force, not using a weapon or case. But this allowed her to apply her move, the straight up your mama's kitchen, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, she picked up the win. Next up, we have Thunder Rosa versus La Jarosita. Hopefully I pronounced it right. Yeah, nothing too special about this match. I mean, I know many people have been asking about Thunder Rosa since it was announced that she'll be there. Yes, but in the end, this match ended with, what was it? Like a somewhat of a muscle buster by La Jarosita to Thunder Rosa, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Oh, excuse me. Next up, we have the combined forces of course, Robbie X. Many of you guys know he is the only member representing RevPro. He teams up with Rocky Romero and the crew, consisting of Leo Rush and Action Andretti. They take on the combined forces of two different groups. We have Los Depredadores, consisting of Magnus and Rugido, and they team up with Los Galeon Fantasmas, consisting of Difunto and Sandokan Jr. So basically, nothing too special about that. However, you can tell that this is a match more like Mexico versus international wrestlers, which is obviously, was interesting. But in the end, of course, we did see it was, what's his name? Sandokan Jr. who picked up the win when he applied an underhook power bomb onto Rock Romero, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, while the losers, of course, were in the ring, they were visited by a guy who calls himself, Kalimba, famous artist. I don't know who he is. However, it seems that Kalimba was anxious to meet Leo Rush. Like, Leo Rush is like, who the hell are you? I never heard of you before. But it seems that, he wants to get to know him. I don't know if that he wants to collaborate with them musically. That's something I don't know. But yeah, so we'll see what happens. Now, our next match, we have the CML World Women's Championship. Now, for those who remember this past Wednesday, Mercedes Moné defeated Swixes for this title. Now, La Catalina will be making the challenge. I have to say, Catalina really put up a fight, but however, it was Mercedes Moné who picked up the win by first applying the Moneymaker, then the Statement Maker in that order, and just like that, during the Statement Maker, Catalina had no choice but to tap. Now, our next match, we have Yota Tsuji taking on Ultimo Guerrero. So basically, these two guys are no strangers. For those who remember or not, when Yota Tsuji left, of course, for his excursion, he made his first, appearance in RevPro for a while. Then he made the transfer to CML, and he was there for quite a while, until he returned to the US, until, of course, presto, he joined Los Ingobernables de Japón, LIJ. However, the match was pretty good, not gonna lie. However, Tsuji was attempting to kick Ultimo Guerrero in the gonads until, of course, it was reversed by Ultimo Guerrero, and he decided to do it himself, resulting of him disqualifying himself and giving Yota Tsuji, of course, the win, and just like that. So, surprising that he screwed himself over this. Now, our next match, we have the last time we get to see LIJ in this. Now, we're not talking with Bushi and Naito. We're talking about Hiromu Takahashi, Shingo Takagi, and Titan. They face the United Empire, consistent of Francesco Akira, TJP, and Templario. Now, of course, many would say that Templario is a hometown dude, but however, everybody loves Los Ingobernables de Japón. I mean, I wouldn't expect a whole lot, but in the end, there was a triple pinfall by LIJ to United Empire, of allowing them, of course, to pick up the win, and just like that. However, during the post-match, Titan decided to do a little promo, because he was saying that this will be the last time everybody get to see LIJ in this form, because as you know, Bushi and Naito left recently, but Titan had the good grace to, of course, do the final roll call, saying, Hiramu, Shingo, Tsuji, and of course him, and saying, Nosotros somos los ingobernables de Japón. So that will be the last time we ever seen it. I think it's a sad day for any LIJ fan. I mean, I'm a fan of LIJ, but it's sad, yeah. So, I mean, I'm happy I got to see it. So, yeah. Now, our next match, we have Kevin Knight versus Neon. I have to say, this is exactly what we like to see. Now, for those who may not know, they have a CML has a match called the Lightning Match. Basically, you have 10 minutes to pick up the win. So, I have to say, it was a good fast pace, but it was Neon who picked up the win when he, of course, applied a reverse flip of some sorts onto Kevin Knight. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. But however, this match only had 27 seconds to spare, so Neon was able to make it just in time. It was like, whew, just like that. Next match, we have Ricochet versus Volador Jr. Now, nothing too special about this, but surprise, surprise, Ricochet brought his shenanigans with him to Mexico. So he decided to low blow Volador Jr. while the ref didn't see it, and then of course applied the spirit gun, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. So basically this was highway robbery, and I'm sure Volador Jr. is not going to let that slide one way or the other. He probably will cross paths with him, but we'll see. Our main event, we have of course like a bit of a AEW versus CML type. Bandito and Hologram teaming up. They take on El Sky team consistent of Máscara Dorada and Místico. I think many fans probably were rooting for Místico to pick up the win since he is the top favorite in CML after all. But it was, of course, Bandito that reversed, of course, the match when Místico was attempting to apply La Mística, and just like that, 1, 2, 3 is over. But however, Místico was saying that he kicked out right in the nick of time, but the ref saying nope, it did not happen. However, during the post-match promo, Místico was demanding for another match to take place between the two of them. However, Bandito, for whatever reason, he decided not to let that happen. But I'm sure Místico will definitely get an opportunity out of him. But I wouldn't be surprised if Místico decides to challenge him for the ROH World Championship. That's something I'm sure many of us could expect if that's the case. But we'll just have to wait to see. The ball is in the court what Místico will do next. And of course, the ball is in the court between both CML and AEW on that, and Ring of Honor on that part. So we'll see what happens. So as of the moment, we are done with this one. Let's move on to our next review, and it's our last one, Stardom Conversion. Okay, Stardom, the Conversion. This is their latest big show, and this one took place recently on the 21st of June in Yoyogi. What was it? Oh yeah, the National Stadium, the Gymnasium number 2. Now this is one of their big events. However, their main event features the IWGP Women's Championship, but we'll get to that in a bit. Now, there was a bit of a dark match that took place. You won't see it on if you get Stardom World, but it was on their YouTube channel in case anybody asked. It was Yuri Him versus Waka Tsukiyama. Now, I like to consider this one a preliminary match. If you guys know this or not, Yuri Him issued a challenge for the New Blood Tag Team belt, and she teams up with Momo Kogo in order to win these belts. But however, she has to go through Waka. Now, I'm pretty sure she has trained with Waka, and I'm sure she learned a few things. But however, Waka has a bit more experience than her. She was able to pick up the win with what I think it was a Northern Light suplex, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, let's jump in with the beginning of the start of the main card in the Conversion. We have the Future of Stardom Championship. This was a belt, of course, that if those who are not familiarized with this belt, let me explain it to you. This is a belt for wrestlers who are below the age of 21. So basically, that's pretty much it. However, if you're above that and you only have like 3 years of experience, you qualify that. so far there's been girls who are in that category that fall in, like of course Mina Shirakawa, Unagi, um, Ami Sori, and a few others. But rest below 21, well, you have Hanan, her sister Rina, and now the other sister, Rina's twin Hina. So you probably can guess how that goes. However, this match was nominated by Hina to Rian. Now Rian, of course, has been aiming for this belt before, but she never initiated. So it was the perfect timing. However, she has to put herself through the test, knowing A, she could somehow by miracle win it, or B, try to put up a hell of a fight. But however, with Hina's experience, is the one main factor. She was able to pick up the win with the frog splash, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, I don't know what she said to her during, of course, the post-match promo, but I'm sure she will tell her that hopefully she'll gain experience and win this belt when the time comes. However, she did state a message to anybody who's willing to challenge her. There are certain girls I do know that could definitely challenge her, and the ones that I can think of at this moment is, of course, what's their name? Aya Sakura, Sayaka Kurara, the only two I can think of. I mean, they still haven't reached their 3 years experience just yet, but it could happen. So we'll just wait and see. Our next match, we have Kyoko Furusawa, Emi Maeshima, and of course Momokogo team up. They take on, of course, the Cosmic Angels, consistent of Sayaka Kurara, Aya Sakura, and Yuna Mizumori. Now, this team, of course, many of us would say that they are very much cohesion. Ever since they teamed up, since last year or so, they did a pretty good job to learn from each other. Not to mention, Tam Nakano did say that they are the future artists champions, and I mean, they definitely did put up their A game. So basically, you probably would think this would be the one main reason it could help them win. And of course, it was Sakura with her amazing kicks that ended the whole thing when she took out Furusawa, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, our next match, we have BMI 2000. The members of Hate consist of Raka and Natsuko Tora taking on FWC, Koguma and Hazuki. Now, of course, when it comes to Hate, we know that they like to play dirty tricks. They like to distract the referee. The seconds help out. But one thing that showed up is, of course, is a double miss from both Raka and Natsuko Tora onto Koguma and Hazuki. But however, it was Raka with the freezer bomb on Koguma, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. So practically, they won because of their dirty tactics. Next up, we have Hanako taking on Risa Sera. Now, of course, many of you may have already been aware of this. For those who don't know, Risa Sera has announced her retirement starting in 2023 in January. And this is how you can say the road to her retirement. But it was interesting that she picked Hanako for this particular match. I'm not sure it's because she sees something in her or what. But, of course, when it comes to Risa Sera, she has a bit of an experience. Not to mention she's been declared as a deathmatch queen. She's dubbed as the Hiroshima Ghost because she's from there. That sort of thing. But, however, it was, of course, Risa Sera that picked up the win when she pinned Hanako. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, moving forward, let's talk about the next match. Once again, we got the other members of Hate, consisting of Rina, Konami, Momo Watanabe, and Sayaka Mitani. They take on Godzai, consisting of Kyoka Kotatsu, Rana Yagami, Lady C, and the returning Ami Sori. Now, for those who remember, Ami Sori was out of action for months, as you know, as a result of an injury, and that led that. And now she's back. But however, many of us would ask how much ring rust was going to be. We don't know. But however, usual Hate tactics, of course, they targeted her specifically, like show her, welcome back, bitch, that sort of thing, you know what I mean? So that's exactly what they were trying to do. But however, this match was once again with their usual hateful tactics by Hate. Konami uses the spray can onto Ami Sori, and it was Kamitani with the Star Crusher, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, I feel like Ami Sori is just getting started, knowing the fact that she got humiliated. But of course, Kamitani doesn't give a damn. One way or the other, someone will knock out Kamitani's senses off. when the day comes, but we'll just have to wait and see. Now, our next match, we have the Goddesses of Stardom Tag Team Belts. Now, this was a match that was actually issued by Natsupoi. For those who may not remember, Natsupoi and Saudi Anu, back 2 years ago, back then in 2023, they were initially had to relinquish the belts due to the fact that Natsupoi was injured, and that kind of put it in the perspective that she was unable to defend them. Now, Saudi Anu was not upset about it, but she understood her, realizing that her health is a primary concern. But in this case, Natsupoi felt like we never lost these belts to begin with. So she thought this could be the perfect opportunity to regain them. But now they're facing a team that has been, how to say, the winners of the tag league from last year, and now, was it last year? Yeah, last year, and now they're tag champions. So this would put, of course, Wingori into the test. Hana and Sareee, as you know, they are what's left of stars, and they're trying to rebuild. But the real question is, can they pull it off against two wrestlers that have better cohesion, but at the same time they do have history, and not to mention they know exactly what their experiences that plays out. But surprisingly, they pulled it off completely. It was an amazing match, but in the end, it was Hanan with the 17 onto Natsupoi, and just like that, it was over. But however, during the post-match promo, while of course Wingori were celebrating their win, apparently their Cosmic Angel showed up and issued a challenge for those belts. And of course, surprise, surprise, many of us did not expect the Yuna Mizumori to do it, but she decided to pick a partner of her choosing. And this partner, well, she's not currently part of the Stardom roster, but many of us seen her participate with Stardom from time to time, and that is, of course, Saki. Now, many of you may ask yourselves, why would Yuna Mizumori pick Saki? For those who don't know, Saki and Yuna Mizumori were tag partners before, of course, Yuna Mizumori made the jump to Stardom. We got to remember, Yuna Mizumori was in the Chocobro promotion before she left, and then made her way to Stardom. And now she's bringing Saki. Now, don't forget, Saki is an allied of the Cosmic Angels. If you guys remember back a few years ago, there was that match between the Colors and Cosmic Angels that was involved, of course, with the original Cosmic Angels, Tam, Unagi, and Mina. And of course, Saki remained good friends with them. So I have to say, seeing Yuna teaming up with Saki, that's going to be interesting. So we will wait until that day comes, until they see each other. Our next match, we have a no disqualification match between Mi Vida Loca, consistent of Suzuki, Akira Kurigani, Isuki Aoki, and of course Rina Yamashita, taking on Neo Genesis, Miyu Masaki, Azumi, and Mei Seta, and Starlight Kid. Now remember, Suzuki was an original member of Neo Genesis until she betrayed them, and now this is a very thing. But however, I have to say Neo Genesis went through in a very extreme predicament. They've been through hell. I mean, they really showed with their heart out. But however, out of nowhere, a big hooded figure showed up and attacked them. And that person, to my surprise, and I did not expect this, and I'm sure many of you who watched it did not expect it, it was Bozilla. And probably somebody said, wait a minute, J-Rod, wasn't she with Mighty Gold? Yes, I was thinking the same thing too. There were talks about that. Rossi said there was been talk about maybe recruiting her. I'm not sure, but the last thing I know is that Bozilla made her way back to Germany for something family related. I don't know, but yeah, and it's strange. Now I don't know what Rossi, in my opinion, would think of this, but it's interesting that she made the play. But however, because Bozilla's interference, this also allowed for Zuzu to pick up the win on Starlight Kid with the German suplex, and just like that, it was over. But however, Bozilla, as you probably know, she has her sights set for the New Japan Strong Women's Championship. I'm sure Azumi will definitely try to defend it, but this is going to be the ultimate test for her. Knowing she's not defeating someone of her size, she's going to have to face someone who's a bit bigger. So we'll see where that goes from there. Now, our main event is the IWGP Women's Championship. Sareee makes another attempt against Shuri. Now, however, she was unable to obtain this belt when Mayu Iwatani was still, of course, with Stardom, but now she's facing someone who has, technical aspects, striking aspects. But Sareee, she hits hard, she chops hard, that sort of thing. I'm like, this match was crazy, but Sareee attempted multiple Uranagis to put down Sareee, and just like that, it was over. I mean, Sareee has done the one thing she said she was out to do. Now, I will talk a little bit about Sareee in our news updates. So, let's get started that right now. Alright, so welcome to our news updates. So let's begin as always with, of course, with upcoming events. Now, as you know, House of Glory will be making their way to Texas on July 7th. They just announced that the House of Glory Women's Championship will be on the line. Our current champion, Indy Hartwell, will defend her championship against Hyan. So that's going to be in a really fun match. Surprise, as you know, RevPro has announced their upcoming event, Summer Sizzler, that will take place on the 25th of July. But however, this was a surprise, and I did not see this one coming. They announced Los Tranquilos de Japón will be making their appearance. If you guys don't know who they are, it's the former members of LIJ, Tetsuya Naito and Bushi. Now, I think some of you are like, what? Yep, they just announced it. I wish I was BSing you. I wish I can say I was joking, but no, it was announced. So yes. And then finally, as you know, we talked about Fantastica Mania. Well, Fantastica Mania is going to happen again in October, but this time it's going to be across the Atlantic in the UK. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Now, they haven't announced who's going to participate, but I can't wait to see it. So that's pretty much it for upcoming events. Now, for our only developments, as you know, we talk about Sareee, who won the IWGP Women's Championship. Now, recently she was interviewed on certain topics, so let me pull that up for all of you. Now, she mentioned before she actually won the IWGP Championship match, this one was an interesting one. She got a call from Takumi Iroha. If you guys don't know who she is, of course, from Marvelous. She is their ace, and not to mention the current GHC Women's Champion. And of course, according to hold on a second. Bueno. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I got it. Okay. All right. Okay. Bye. Sorry, folks. So anyway, Takumi called her and told her win the IWGP Women's Championship. So it's interesting. Here's the reason why, folks. If you guys don't know this, Takumi Iroha and Sareee are tag team champions. They are the AEW tag team champions. So basically, you have one half who is in fact the GHC Women's Champion, while the other half is the IWGP Women's Champion, which is interesting. So I had to say it was really fun. Now, Sareee, as you all know, back then when she was in NXT, she was known as Sareee. Some people said here in the States that WWE dropped the ball. However, Sareee actually mentioned about her return coming back from the States, and this is what she said. When I came back from the US, a lot of people told me things like, you came back after failing WWE. You didn't see it through. That it was a dark chapter. But what exactly why I believe that? Depending on how hard I worked, I could turn my time in the US and everything in my life up to now into the right path. This time, I even incorporated pink in the color of my costume for my Sareee days, in my gear, carrying everything in my shoulders, bearing everything I've been until now. The results came together, and yesterday I finally felt everything I've done up till now hadn't been in vain. So, yeah, I mean, I get it. People in Japan have harsh words to say. I mean, if you failed, you're a failure. That's always been one of the things. That's the Japanese culture way, guys. I mean, I don't blame them for acting this way, but it's rather harsh. But of course, she talked about the doubters, the people who doubted her. And this is what she said. Of course, there may be people who aren't satisfied with me wearing this belt and tend to make those people acknowledge me. I want to bring incitement to this belt and to Stardom in my way that makes them regret doubting me. You go, girl. Yeah, show those idiots that they were wrong. Because that's the problem. I mean, here's the thing, guys. You have to make a good impression with the fan base. If you want to prove the doubters wrong, then prove it in a way that they have to regret saying negative things about you. But that's how it goes. And then finally, she talked about, of course, participating in the 5-star Grand Prix. So, yeah. Now, some of you may say, will she do it? Yeah. And this is what she said as well about that. The 5-star Grand Prix starting soon in Stardom, right? I want to be in that. If I'm in it, I'll be the most intense league ever. Riding the momentum, I'll defeat all the wrestlers in Stardom, the #1 promotion in women's wrestling, and I'll become the true ace of women's pro wrestling's world, and I'll take them all down one by one. Well, she's not wrong. I feel like she can do it. I mean, look, Sareee, I know there's been some controversy about how she talked about pro wrestlers and their promotions and all that. She even talked about how Mighty Gold, when they started training together, she asked, like, is that really how you squat? I mean, some people thought she was saying it because she was jealous. No, it's like, you have to understand, she was trained different. So that's pretty much it, what we have right now. Hopefully there's more with Sareee. I'll keep you guys tabs on what she does. But I did learn recently with Sareee, if you guys know this or not, she actually went to the grave of the late Antonio Inoki. For those who don't know, she idolized him, and now she wants to pay her respect after winning the IWGP Women's Championship, and this happened the day after she won it. So I have to say, it's pretty cool. But that's pretty much it, so let's call it a day. Alright, so I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, I believe we do have another New Japan event. Let me look it up real quick on my phone since I have things saved up here. Let's see. Yeah, we do. So yeah, we continue with more of the New Japan Soul in case anybody asks. So that's pretty much the latest thing. I haven't decided if there's any other events I'm going to review. I'm still behind on some of the Yoshi Wrestling events and other things, but we'll see what happens. So I'll just, as I probably say, New Japan is the priority, but we'll see what happens from here on out. But as of right now, I'll say this, that I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I'm going to bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.